try it for 7 days. Just try trusting your subconscious for 7 days and see how amplified and ramped up your life gets. It's amazing. And it is not convenient to do it.
Welcome to the Badass Manifester podcast, keeping you inspired with high vibe content, bringing you the best manifestation and mindset tools, teachings, interviews, and answering questions to help empower you to get out of your own way and take massive action to make magic your everyday normal. I'm your host, Ashley Gordon, spiritual life and manifestation coach, helping women and spiritual entrepreneurs manifest more impact, influence, and income. It is my purpose and pleasure to help you wake up to the badass creator that you are. Let's do this. I'm really excited for today because we're going to be jamming out with Kimberly Friedmutter, who is obviously a badass manifester. She is here to chat and give all the golden nuggets about the subconscious mind. She has a book called Subconscious Power, and she's known as the Mystic in Cowboy Boots, and she's just such a beautiful shining light. I'm looking at her right now because we're recording on video, and if you want to see the video, you can watch it on my YouTube channel. She is, a master hypnotherapist, NLP trainer. She's appeared on Entertainment Tonight, The Doctors, TLC, and CNN, among many national media outlets, and we get to have her here on the Badass Manifester podcast. I'm so excited. Welcome, Kim. I'm so excited to have you and to chat all about everything, really, the subconscious power.
And you got that right. It is about everything, because when you're talking about the subconscious, you're talking about all of you, the best part of you, and the juiciest, yummiest part of you.
Totally. Wow, you are out there in the world. It's so nice to have you here with us.
Thank you. I got out of my office for a change. What do you know?
What do you know? Cool. So first, can you just share a little bit about your journey, who you are, and how you've, manifested yourself to where you are today?
So and thank you for asking and thank you for having me. I had a radio talk show in Los Angeles for a while on KLSX 97.1 FM, which was the only FM talk station at the time. And that was actually known as the home of Howard Stern. And so that was before he went to satellite. He was there with Los Angeles. And wouldn't I love to get into his subconscious? That would be fun. That's next. But anyway, so Howard's great. The idea of continuing education has always been important to me. My mother is a scholastics person, or was a scholastic person before her transition. And so science and human behavior and all of those things were always very interesting to me. So in that line of work and thought and just interest, I decided to go ahead and look into hypnosis. The reason being is because I had been hypnotized in the past, and it had worked so effortlessly and it had worked so gently. It almost felt like it didn't happen to you, but yet all this behavior just changed. And one of the things that I had been hypnotized for was stage fright. And this was long before the radio show. And, I've had a little bit of childhood, entertainment business stuff going on. And so I was kind of out of the house at 14 and started modeling in New York and Europe and that kind of thing. And so, I kind of got put out a little young. And so then, things start to creep in just like they do in life. And, it starts to kind of glom on just like it does in life. And then it starts to grow, and you think that thought, and that thought begins to think, and then you get nervous and anxious and fearful and all the things that just happen in life. So I went to a hypnotherapist and a few different ones to have this just a clean sweep and just have these things removed from me. And it worked. And so when I was doing my continuing education, I thought, I really want to get behind the mechanics of that and find out what that is that was working like that. Yeah. Because I've enjoyed all kinds of therapy over the years, cognitive behavioral therapy and all of that, and have been open to all of it. But this for me was really fun because it was a combination of art and science, and it worked so quickly and it worked so little on my part. We were, as far as effort, we're always seeking balance, and we're always seeking path of least resistance. And so the path of least resistance in this case was hypnosis, because, if you're not conscious, you're not resisting. And that's the beauty of it. So it's exactly what, case in point, that people do when they drink or they drug or they use substances, is to zone out, right? They don't want to be so conscious. And a hyper conscious person, is a nervous, frazzled, kind of a mess at times, because, you're overly conscious. And so analyze, paralyze, you hear all of these sayings, but they're true, because if you imagine your computer, at hyper performance all the time and never in screensaver mode, which is what we consider trance, is like a deep relaxation, and that's screensaver mode. State that you naturally go into many, many times a day. And just to kind of show you and take a tour of what that is, that's staring at your refrigerator and not realizing what you went there for, staring at a beautiful carrot pit, or a long road when you're on a road trip and you don't the last 5 miles. So it's a very interesting part of the mind. It's a fun exploration, and really the way to get to the root of whatever those issues are.
So true. I mean, I'm also I'm a master NLP practitioner, and I have clinical hypnotherapist. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions around hypnotherapy and accessing the subconscious mind. So would you just mind explaining, for those of people who think it's just like this stage fun thing that, people have these internal representations around what it is? Share what hypnotherapy truly is.
So Chris Angel is my neighbor, and my husband and I run around the block each morning and sometimes at night. And so we'll run into him, and it's funny because he does, the stage show version of what I do.
Yes.
So we look at each other like, gotcha.
Yeah, for sure.
Keep it moving. But it's a very interesting thing, because you're right, and people do have these misconceptions, and also blending it with meditation. What's the difference? I get asked that a lot. And the way I like to describe it is meditation is a zoning in, where you're focusing on breath and you're focusing on keeping thoughts at bay. Whereas I describe trance or hypnosis as a state where you're zoning out. You're allowing those thoughts to come and process. So you're not focusing on breath. You're not focusing on anything. It's more like that daydream state. So similar to when you're just waking up and you're not really sure where you are, what's going on, that state. Just like when you go to bed and you have that little twilight moment right before you go to sleep. It's that time where you really feel nothing, but you feel everything. Because I am assured that our greatness is steeped in that which we can't always access so easily, or isn't for the world really to view. Now, my big promotion for subconscious thought, let's say, is that it's natural, it's 100% organic, it's 100% sustainable, and it's 100% private should you choose to keep it that way, because your thoughts are your own. Are your thoughts ecological for you? Are they benefiting you? Are they harming you? When we think a thought, that thought begins to think. And we all know, you could be putting on your mascara in the morning, right? And you're thinking, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And then that thought, and then all of a sudden you leave your bathroom and you're like, I'm so mad,
Right. Or you could be telling yourself like, you look great today. I look amazing today. I've got this. And then you're leaving your house empowered, right?
Exactly. So literally, just like when you're in the grocery store and you've got, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, those are suggestions that we don't even realize that we're putting into our subconscious mind.
Runaway thought processes.
Love it.
Runaway. So it actually is the subconscious doing it too. It's a misguided thing because it happens automatically. So how do you know the difference between conscious thought and subconscious thought? Is consciousness, so we're double-minded, conscious and subconscious. Also, unconscious is the same thing as subconscious, just for listeners to know, because I choose to call it sub, which is under the surface, just below the surface, as opposed to un.
I like that.
Yeah, I feel like unconscious is like a boozy night out, they found you on the side of the road. I don't like that association. Unconscious, coma, I just feel like it has a negative connotation to it. So I chose to use, but they are the same, interchangeable. And so your subconscious mind are all of the things that you don't think about consciously. So, your body processes are all running without your thought or your agreement, right? Mm-hmm. And so are your dreams. When you dream, there's a lot of science behind, what exactly is that? Is it, information in and kind of a dumping of information at the end of the day? Is it like premonitory? Is it something that, is telling you about the future? What is it exactly? Science is conflicted on that. But the subconscious itself runs your habits, your emotions, your belief systems. What do you believe? Do you believe in afterlife? Do you believe in reincarnation? It's very moral. It likes symbolism. You know that when you see a Hamza hand, that means, some kind of internal peace. A peace sign, obviously, a heart means love. It's all of those natural associations that we use for symbolism. And so guiding your subconscious and making sure that you're a shepherd of it and a nurturer of it, I've likened the subconscious to an 8-year-old child. So if you think back when you're 8, and it doesn't have to be 8, it can be 6, it can be 11, it's giving the idea of that time where you had that broader knowledge and you weren't consciously thinking about PC. If you were mad at your neighbor, you bit him. If you you were primal, you were instinctual, you were acting on your gut impulses, you were truly you, right?
Authentic.
You can't bite your coworker. So we know that now. And as we start to learn, play well with others in the sandbox, we start to also unlearn that primal greatness that we came in with. So I say to parents who have children in that age range, I say, pay very close attention and give them the adulation when they follow their gut instinct. So let's say that Johnny gets bit on the playground, and the mother could say, or the father could say to Johnny, did you sense before he bit you that he was in a mood or having a moment or whatever, or did you push it? What can you extract from that situation that you can amplify that tendency to have instinct and gut, and then depress that lack of sensibility. So you're really raising the volume and saying, good, gold star on your forehead for knowing that Johnny would bite you or throw dirt in your face or whatever the case, right? So good for you that you knew that and that you honored the fact that you needed to turn and leave. It's subtle adjustments. But let me tell you something. We have this mechanism inside of us, and it's so great. Like if I came and I put this on your desk there where you are, and I said, here's this great piece of machinery. Here's the manual of how to utilize it, and here's the plug. Let's plug it in, and you're going to have 1,000 less things to do in your day because you're going to be using this broader sense of knowledge. That's the beauty of the subconscious.
Wow. That makes so much sense. I love that metaphor. And it's so true. It's like this beautiful, innate part of you that just knows what to do, when to do it. And so some of those programs from when we're 6, 7, 8 years old, 11, whatever, our subconscious programming is actually working against us at times. Do you agree with that?
If it's misguided, yes. If it's gone awry, like if someone, so for example, if you have a chronic thought, let's just say you have a chronic negative thought, that chronic negative thought then is constantly thinking, right? And it's constantly an activated part of your system. So then the body could respond to that and create disease or create, a chronic thing that keeps happening. I can't tell you how many times I'll hear people say, every October I get the flu, and I think, cancel. If you just say cancel, your little inner 8-year-old who's your stenographer will cross it out because it's not for you. Yeah. Or,
I say cancel, clear, delete.
There you go. Fantastic. See, so that's a derivative of that. Beautiful. So you automatically knew or were trained to do that. I think probably trained knowing you're training. That's the key, because you don't look, you can unring the bell, and you can unring the bell by knowing to do it. And so even if you're around negative people, you can cross your arms, you can tuck your thumbs in, you can not engage, you can test people out. I don't know if you do this, but if you leave a voicemail for some people and say, oh my gosh, call me, the worst thing happened, they'll call you right away. If you call that same person and you say, oh my gosh, the greatest thing happened, I can't wait to share this great news with you, you may never hear from them again. It's about understanding and really taking ecology and accountability about what you know about those around you. If you had this precious 8-year-old child next to you, you probably wouldn't watch half the things you watch, see half the things you see, say half the things you say, listen to what you listen to, be around, environment, right?
Yeah,
you would be protective. So it's about shepherding and being more vigilant to that part of ourselves.
That higher awareness. So how about the part of you that feels like, what was the thing you just said before that, the 8-year-old self?
About the shepherding that 8-year-old that you wouldn't go and see and do and all of that. You'd be more vigilant and you'd be more respectful of the fact that you have this person, because you do. You know, the thing is we feel so mature and fancy and shiny, but we're really still very primal and we're still very much children. I loved when back years ago when the tech companies started listing themselves, like they'd say like our team, right, on the online, and then you'd look at their website and it would be their childhood photos. I loved that. That was a trend a while back, right? And it was cute because
that is cute.
Yeah, it's really cute. And it was like a cool thing. And I loved it because it's true. You know, there's a couple of ads now on television where it's the adults talking, but they have the baby voice coming out.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, gummy bears and whatever they do. And it's really very cute because it's the God honest truth that that's our divinity. That's who we stay. You know, we mature out of it and we get fancy out of it, but we don't really get out of it. And to be aware of that and then to be honorable about that and to really take care of that part of us, that's where I see the best health benefits.
Yes. And I would love to hear more about that because you have this inner glow. Your skin is beautiful. And like, I really attribute that to having a healthy relationship with your inner child, your subconscious mind, your higher self, whatever you want to call it. It's really all the same thing to me.
100%.
And I think, like you mentioned before, being ecological with yourself. And I know what that means, but can you just elaborate a little bit more on that? Because I think that's
so my first principle, the book is 6 principles, and the first principle is take accountability. Now that's kind of the first principle for everything. So, you know, big deal, right? But what I mean by that is to really look at yourself as to what's not working. So, because what happens is, and I do write a lot about in the beauty space about how to get that glow. And the importance of that glow is really just thought. You look how you think. And
well, wait, you guys, hold up, write that down, say it out loud. I look how I think. I look how I think.
Yeah.
That's
Can I tell you, I mean, that's the greatest thing going is think right and you will look right. It has to. It translates like a beacon and then it attracts. Like that was the nicest thing you said, and thank you for the compliment. But the thing is, it is true and it does attract because it becomes a light because there's light thought. Now, how do you get light thought? I have the answer.
Yay! This is so good.
I should have a little cream, like a little jar of beauty cream, and I should open it up and go, right here is what it is. There's a predominant thought that creates the look of youth and abundance and health and ecology, like you say, and well-being. And that thought is, write it down. If you don't have a pen, get a pen.
Listen up.
What if it's easy?
Oh.
Okay, now what? So people might go, you know, but just share. We are taught that if something has value, you had to pay for it. And it's not true. It's not true because sometimes it's true. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes it works out that way. But it always works out that way 100% if that's the way you believe. So case in point, no guts, no glory, no pain, no gain. You know, all of these things that you have to really work hard for what you get. Mm-hmm. Yeah, work hard, play hard, all of those. So the truth is if you adopt the mindset of what if it's easy, and even on the hard stuff, I mean, I've seen some hard stuff. Chemo, loss of, you know, mates, all of it, you name it, childhood sickness. I mean, just the worst nightmares ever. Every second of that journey, if that thought is in place, what if it's easy? It lightens the load of the moment. It gives you the best shot. You know how they'll find people, survivalists, you know, they'll find them in the woods and they go, oh, if they only had water, you know, water, they could have lasted 21 days. Oh, if they only had water. If you only have that thought, that's the thought you have. Now, the reason it works is because the thought begins to think. Yes. And because the what if it's easy, it's germinating a seed inside. So what if it's easy is the seed. You swallow the seed of thought. then that thought starts to germinate. Then the next thing, what if it's easy? What if it's easy? There's another cute little brief, super, super easy exercise that if you extract yourself from the situation, and you know what I'm talking about because of your training, if you become the third person in your own story. So for example, let's just say that you're having an argument with the mate, okay? Let's identify what the argument's about. Most arguments are about money, so let's just make it about that for generality. So you're arguing about money. Let's make the money be the third thing, and let's pull away the couple from the money. So we say we have a problem because this money thing is getting in our way. You see, I separated it and made it a thing. I didn't make it a mate thing. I made it a third thing. That's how you can make sickness. That's how you can make disease. That's how you can make infidelity. We have a thing we need to contend with, and it's this third thing. You see, it's a deeper thought, and there's more about it in the book, but separating things away from the people that they're attached to is an easier way, another thing of what if it's easy,
right?
A tidbit to take away.
I love that so much, because if it becomes separate from you did this or I did that, and it's the problem is outside of the people involved. Is that what you're saying?
100%.
Okay. And then it's easier to kind of look at the problem from a different perspective, because I think it would take me personally out of blame.
Well, 100%. And you get the other person's compliance to help with that problem.
Oh, yeah.
Problem in them, you don't get them to help. They're like, sorry, that's just
right.
it.
People go into defense mode and then they shut down.
Right. So if you say it's the thing, we have this thing we need to work on. Let's go work on this thing and get rid of this thing. Then it depersonalizes it. It's like it power washes it off and gets it clean again.
It like disassociates from
100%.
the people involved, 100%. Which is a really powerful tool for manifestation too, and visualization. All of that is like looking at it from all these different angles. Yeah, that's really cool.
Right. And even like fun things, you can use it on the flip side to enhance and amplify performance. So finding a great parking space, if you're sitting in the car with someone, let's find a great parking space. Let's just let the car go where the car needs to go. Let's just get connected to ourselves, and let's just know that we'll be led to the right space. Right. And the right space might not be the closest space. The right space might be the space that doesn't, get the fender bender. The right space might be the space that not next to the carts going in and stacked and stored. The right space might be the space that stays out of the rain because there's going to be a downpour when you're in the store. It's all those things. Like you don't know, just park there. Let the car go where the car be this conduit, not the you do it. Oh, I like that. I'm writing that down.
Write that down. Kelly, that is so good. Like that is, I love that so much. And I actually have never heard that perspective specifically with the car, because most people are like, oh, I'm going to check the first spot that like the best spot's the first spot. But the truth is like your subconscious mind, that most powerful part of you, and the universal mind work together. In my opinion, I would love your opinion on that, but they work together to find like the highest good for you.
Oh, 100%.
That might be like the back of the lot.
Right. The subconscious doesn't ever do anything that's not ecological for the person. In other words, its prime directive and its number one directive is your survival. Why? You can't kill yourself with your own hands. Did you know you can't kill yourself with your own hands? You can't strangle yourself. You can't drown yourself. You have to have a device. You have to have something. It's a terrible subject. But
but you're right.
You can't, your subconscious will not allow you to do yourself in without a tool.
So powerful. It's so powerful. Right. And that's the same, just to kind of circle back to hypnosis, is like people think, oh, they're not in control when they're in hypnosis, but actually you are in control, because your subconscious mind's number one priority is to keep you safe. So of course, if you need to wake up, you're going to wake up. If you need to do that, you're like, it's
right. That's the thank you stage show hypnosis and entertainment for doing that, just
totally.
Like in a black robe with a hood and swinging a watch either. So, entertainment and all the fascination around the subject, which is a fun part of and great, look, if you want to cluck like a chicken, go be on stage. And, you'll feel like participating, that's participatory agreement. That's not, oh, I couldn't help myself and I just barked and crowed like a chicken. That's not that. So you can't go rob a bank. You can't be led to do anything like that. There is no loss of control. It's simply an expression of what needed to come out or would come out anyway.
Yeah.
So, I've sat with clients that want their medical doctor sitting right there. I've sat with politicians who have an aide sitting right there to make sure that things, don't get said. Well, it doesn't work like that, but whatever, I don't care.
Yeah, right. Because hypnosis it's really content free in a way where you're just like, okay, let's work through this fear or this. What is the most popular thing people come to you for?
So right now it's been a lot. And when I say right now, meaning I'm just finishing up with a huge amount of, more than any year in the past, weight loss folks.
Wow.
And I found it interesting, and I wasn't sure exactly what contributed to it. Normally summer is that way, but this has been a real blockbuster summer for it. The thing that is always and constantly ramped up and constantly growing is anxiety. Anxiety is at an all-time high, suicide, depression, God bless you. All of the pain is at an all-time high right now. Needless to say that we are, looking for any way, substance, alcohol, anything to food, anything, shopping, name all of the possible habitual issues, and you've got one, to satisfy and to calm. And so the beauty is you can do it so easily. You can simply close your eyes. We can go through it right now. If you close your eyes and you imagine focusing on a spot, in fact, you don't even have to close your eyes. You can focus on a spot right in front of you, but just stare at that spot, eyes closed or not, imagine spot or real, doesn't matter. Stare at that spot and then allow your eyesight to diffuse out nice and slow. So the eyesight is moving out left and right at the same time, simultaneous, so that you're just now, this focus spot in front of you is blurry and you can see everything out to the sides of you. And you can even lift your hands to see that you can see your hands. So that's that expanded vision. You'll notice your posture starts to straighten. You'll notice you start to feel better. And if you put your tongue at the roof of the mouth, it starts to integrate the lobes. So what happens is you cannot experience a negative sensation or emotion when you're in this state, and it's a peripheral state. So there's a lot of different names for it. If you do your hands like this, Tad James would call that hakalau.
Hakalau, yeah.
Yeah, you're familiar with all of that. And so what it is to alleviate and instantly alleviate anxiety, or sleeplessness or a negative emotion if you're cycling into something you can't seem to get out of and it just keeps going and going. I mean, there's so many beautiful 100% natural protocols that literally take 2 seconds. We named them 3-minute hacks in the book because we needed, some kind of time on them, but they really could be like 3-second abs, You're like, so you got it.
I love that. That's so, so awesome. Yeah, it's so true. It's like, that is one of the biggest epidemics that is, happening right now, is like just this overwhelm and anxiety. And I think that it really, like you said, like it comes down to number one, I think not understanding the power that you have within yourself, and also not making the time to integrate everything that's going on around you. For me, that's really important, is like to just kind of get still, maybe look at a spot or meditate or close my eyes and just tune into my body, let my mind relax. What do you do?
Well, that is trance, what you're describing, exactly that. So whether Johnny is staring out the window in class and the teacher's tapping the board saying, Johnny, get back in the room, Johnny's in his greatness right now. We want Johnny there. We want him to naturally be zoning out and to be trance-like, like we imagine, a good summer image is the lizard on its back, taking in sun on its belly, it's just in trance, and then people will say, well, that's a state of consciousness or subconsciousness. Yes. So go to a concert, and when your favorite entertainer hits this note and you get chills, or you're standing there with your phone on flame and people are waving and they're mesmerized, they're entranced by this artist that they're listening to, that is group and collective consciousness, collective trance. So, I mean, it's something that we do. It's the best place and the best feeling. So I urge everyone to try it because you're doing it naturally anyway. And then advertisers who we love are using it, at their benefit as well. Flashy colors and flashy, images and sounds and things, and getting you in this state to buy, they're priming you using
totally
to do that, which again is fine, but for God's sakes, use it yourself.
Exactly. Use it for your own life. I was at Tony Robbins recently, and I was just watching the screen, and the screen was like doing all these hypnotic patterns. And I was like, look, we're being hypnotized.
Yeah.
Even crazier, he was selling one of his programs, and they were putting like the words on the screen. But guess what was behind? This is wild. Guess what was behind all the words on the screen? There was a logo, and the logo was the Nike logo.
Oh.
So it was, what do you think of when you think of Nike?
So why did they do that, do you think?
Because it's a subconscious like thing when they're
No, I knew that, but why the Nike logo? What was their intention?
do it. Just
So,
do it.
right. Yeah. I mean, that's the last thing I think of now when I think of Nike.
I know, right?
But yeah, so I guess that is. I mean, there's so much angst and upset around, that it is a.
That's true. It's probably not the best
conflict
representation, but to me, it hit me. I was like, wow, this is a subconscious pull. Like, this is a subconscious pull to be like, just do this program,
Oh, yeah. No question. Right. No question.
You're right.
Because they could have put the words, just do it, or do it now, or now. They didn't need to double associate with the subconscious,
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, interesting. It's good that you know. I wonder if anyone else really noticed, if it was a predominant, because subconscious always notices, but I wonder if anyone else consciously noticed.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, I always thank my subconscious mind too, because the more I thank it, I feel the more it kind of does good for me, right? Well, it like listens. Like, I was cutting an avocado the other day and I almost sliced my finger open. I mean, I was so close, and I wasn't thinking, I was in trance, right? So I was slicing and then I almost cut my finger and I didn't. And I was like, thank you, subconscious mind. You always have my back, you know?
Yes. You always have my avocado.
You always have my avocado, right? Which is always good for me. What are some of your favorite things that you incorporate in your daily life to kind of, I don't know, amplify your superpowers?
So the key thing that I could only stress, and this is a gift to anyone who can hear this, let me tell you, is to trust it. Trust it, trust it, trust it. Now, easy to say, and let me give you some examples. It's inconvenient to trust it.
Oh,
it takes such a leap of faith to trust it. Even if you practice for 1 week, let's just say that you say, okay, today I'm going to start from today, and for 6 more days, I'm going to act on my impulses, my instincts, and my gut reactions, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to follow through with it. You see how that week goes for you. And you see how those things turn out. And those are called your convincers. That is your evidence. That's the evidentiary type reaction and end user experience you get from having utilized and acted on it. Because it's easy to say, and you hear 1,000 times from 1,000 different people, I knew it.
yes.
Knew it. Simple things. You're driving away. Did I close the garage door? Did I turn off the oven? All those automatic things. Usually you did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever had that experience. Did I turn off the curling iron? It's all those things. And then if there's someone you can call and check, you find out that you did. That's that automatic subconscious thing watching after you. Again, you would say thank you for that. And you would acknowledge. And every good 8-year-old, 8-year-olds call you out on your stuff. And so the subconscious would be like, nah, so no, like they say, you're not thinking right, or you're not talking right. And so allow that him or her. There's a chapter in the book called Tonkas and Tutus, and it relates to that inner 8-year-old. Let that part of you, the you inside of you, speak to you and help you, because it's like your lovely little assistant. They're there to call you out when you're off track, to touch base with.
That's like really, really golden, because I try and listen to it as much as I can, but at the same time, I always hear this question, which I can't wait to hear your answer on, which is, how do I know if it's my subconscious mind and my intuition versus is it fear?
Well, fear is the subconscious also. Now,
Oh,
so all of it, everything that, okay, so there's a great book called Gift of Fear. The Gift of Fear, Gavin DeBecker, who's a very, very famous, well-known security consultant. He protects the cloud. He protects, Oprah, presidents, Bezos, everybody, right? That's anybody there in that level of needing protection and security. He handles that. So he wrote this book many, many years ago. I do reference it in my book because the Gift of Fear reminds you to rely on that part of you. That is what's keeping you safe. Stranger danger, stairs, fire, all of those instincts that keep you safe, right? So we don't want to eliminate fear. And in my opinion, we have gotten far too lax with our social media, with our opening up the internet door to our lives and to who we are and where we are and when we are. And that is the dumbing down of that aspect of us that has caused great problems for people. And so there is a chapter in the book, and it's called Judge Thy Neighbor and Thyself. And it's about privacy and the fear of, putting things out there and to get that back. Because here's the thing, can you hear my bird? If you open your door purposefully to all of the information that you have about your life, you are succumbing to being this open book for the world. And not everyone has your best interest at mind. Our parents told us that. Again, if you had this beautiful little 8-year-old girl next to you, would you allow her to do what we do? You absolutely would not, because that maternal part of you and that vigilant shepherding part of you is the sensible part of you and knows not to be that way. So fear, I love because it's not inappropriate or exacerbated fear. It's not out of line fear. It's reasonable fear to keep you safe. That's the checkpoint, not the fact that it's fear.
Mm-hmm. I love that so much. It's so true. I always say the part of us that doubts our greatness is the part of us that fears our light at the same time, but it's also all protecting us from whether it's, actually getting hurt or embarrassment or feeling less than or failure, all of that. So we actually have to embrace that part of ourselves and kind of give it a new energy sometimes if we need it to work in a different way.
Right, because like my final principle is play big. I don't ever worry about people being afraid of their greatness, because that's a misplaced thing. That's a misappropriated fear. That's a very good example. I
completely agree with you.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of one. People ignore their greatness because they're lazy. People ignore their greatness because they don't want to actually put action behind the idea of something. And actually that's fine if that's the way, I do empathy to action exercises, because there's a lot of failure to launch now. And there's a lot of, things that if we're real honest with ourselves, I, for one, can say, oh my gosh, sometimes I would need to really be prodded to go after, that golden ring. I really did. I felt like, oh my gosh. And I'd look at the ring in my mind's eye and I think, oh, it's going to take so much energy to grab that, and it just seems like, oh my gosh, that's me being really honest with me. I'm just sometimes too lazy to feel to just call it lazy. And I'm not a lazy person. In fact, sometimes, people are like, I want what you're on. You have so much energy. And it's the truth. But when you're looking at something that you're going to go for, whether it's a new business you're creating or starting a family or looking for, a maid or whatever this new thing you're going to be going into is that time is going to pass with you or without you. And so how do you want 5 years to look from now? We all have the 5-year plan. How do you want 10 years to look? If you want it to look that way, you need to take the steps and activate. And that's usually the impetus to go and exude that energy. Or it might be, let's say you're hot right now. Your podcast is like, the big deal right now. And that right now you could, plant more seeds, or you could put more water, or you could and it's going to be this amazing amount of energy you're going to need to put in right now, but it's going to be this short burst. It'll be a sprint. Let's just say that that's the case. It's worth it to do it now because timing is on your side and opportunity is on your side, and the soil is rich and fertile right now, as opposed to, trudging it out for the next 20 years. You follow?
Right. Absolutely. I feel that way very often. I feel that way right now with writing a book. Like there is a book and it is there. It is right here, and it just has to like get right into my fingers and out.
Okay,
And so it's like, okay, well, do I do exactly? And I'm looking at you with your book, and it's inspiring me because it's just like it's so achievable, and yet it's like that's like your book is like the gold ring, right?
Right.
It's like, are we going to do this? Are we going to reach for the ring? Because I always think about like, what if I did do it, and what if I didn't do it?
Yes.
Just like you were saying, it's like, is the cost of not doing it so painful that that's what's going to propel me forward?
Right.
Right. And it's not even about me. It's about being of service. So that propels me every day too. So yeah.
Right. So the thing is like this book, I think if I looked back, it would be 5 or 6 years that it took to do it. Now, so books don't just happen. They are crafted and created, and there's a team, and it's a thing. And, you know, there's a call to timing. You know, the timing is like, if you know that book is inside of you and that book is coming, it's like a baby. It's coming with whether you agree with it or not.
Right.
Start making a book, because we literally, you know, when I did the book, I was like, okay, so who's the doula? You know, who's the midwife?
Right.
Where are we having it? Who's the father? You know, like, father turns out to be 2 fathers. Simon,
I love it.
Right?
Funny.
So it's all of these things, and it's really quite fascinating. You know, you get the agent, you get the thing, it's all lined up, and then if that book is meant to be born, just like a baby, that book starts to create, and that entity and the universal spirit of things, and how, you know, what's meant to be emerges and what isn't goes away. What happens is this book then starts to take its own life. Oh, you know, it goes to this department. Oh, it goes to that imprint. Oh, this person left. Okay, it goes over here. It starts to have a life of its own, which you are completely out of control of, that the book is completely in control of, because you conceived it. And so, and its birth comes on its own when it's time, when it's ready, and all of the angels, all of the deities, all of the divinity gathers around for the birth day of this book. And that's the beauty of it. So you might be the impetus for the book, and you might be the seed creator of the book, but you have very little to do with the emergence of the book. The book becomes the thing. And it has a life of its own.
Beautiful.
And then when the book is done and out, the world shares the book, people enjoy the book. So now this thing of beauty, which again, very little to do with you, but had to do with emergence because it had to be. So it's almost like writing a book is the love of, you can't not do it.
Totally. Yes.
So if you make it a can't not do, it's easier to run for it because you can't not do it.
Yes.
Time is ticking. We need you. We need everybody to be great, because if you're great, I'm great. If I'm great, you're great. Everyone listening is great.
I'm committed to making all of us great together. Yeah. And so I love that. And I would encourage all the listeners to ask yourself, you know, what is it that you just can't not do? What is it that you just can't not create?
Mm-hmm. What's going to create from you? What's emerging? What's coming with your agreement, thoughts, or not? Because it's bigger than each of us. We're just this little conduit. Yeah. You can do it.
Okay, please. Did you know that one? Write that one down too. That's good. You can do it. See, that's what happens when you're actually being a conduit. Right? Things come through that you're just like, I could not have thought of that on my own. Thank you. Thank you, universe. Thank you, subconscious mind.
Right.
Brilliant.
Just here to just report. I'm just reporting the news.
I'm just reporting the news. Yeah. Yeah. All my psychic friends tell me that.
Exactly. Don't shoot the messenger.
Right. Exactly. Oh my God. You are such a joy. You're brilliant. And I am so honored. You guys, everyone needs to check out Kimberly's book. It's actually beautiful. It's the cover of the book is hypnotizing me. I'm going to link it in
they designed it that way to have the subtext.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
So use your
Nike checks right here.
It's so cool. So the title of the book is Subconscious Power, but the whole thing works as a title too. Use your subconscious inner mind power to create the life you've always wanted.
Right. And so there's a blog somewhere online. I found it, and it was one night, and I was laughing so hard the bed was shaking because I was having this internal laugh, and I didn't want it to wake up my husband. So I couldn't help it. I had to wake him up. My inner 8-year-old was like, hey, 8-year-old, wake up and share this with me, because there's a whole blog with like 130, 150 posts about the cover. And so, and it's nice because Simon & Schuster created this. I thought they were so clever how the use your inner mind. So you can see where it trails off, right? It gets lighter in the text.
Cool.
And so it's something that you can see really easily in person. But what's neat about it is it does use your subconscious inner mind power to create the life you've Kimberly always Friedmutter wanted. And so on the blog post, they're like, I've always Kimberly Friedmutter wanted. And then what does Kimberly Friedmutter want? You know, and I don't know, do I want a Kimberly Friedmutter want? You know, what is it?
Wait, so, there was a whole blog post about your about your cover?
130, 150 different posts, writings about the cover of this. We have to find it online. I found it a couple of times, and I was roaring laughing.
That is hilarious.
Half the people were saying, dumbest cover I ever saw. The other half of the people were saying, genius. You know,
I think it's genius.
Perfect. Yeah. It was perfect because it created this stir, and I love that. Because the real title is Subconscious Power, and then use your inner mind to create the life you've always wanted. But look, this is how the brain works right here. This is it in action. Once you pick up the copy and you see the cover, you're already in it. That's it.
I'm like, I want to buy that right now.
Yeah, it's really a lot of fun.
I just want to reach through the computer screen and grab it.
Right? Here you go.
Thank you.
So on the back, I have Jennifer Hudson, Martha Stewart, Mike Tyson, Michael Beckwith, who married my husband and I, by the way. I'm sure you know him, Michael Beckwith from Agape in Los Angeles. And then David Zelon, who is the producer of Soul Surfer. You know, it's a very inspiring read. There's a lot of really interesting things in here. Amazing quotes from amazing artists. I do liken the subconscious mind and the idea of trance to music. You know, I use a lot of musical reference for L. Williams, Quincy Jones, Oprah, you know, a lot in this book. It's pretty fascinating. I'm very proud of it because it's timeless. And again, not me. It's simply a manual of how to use your machinery. I wish I could sell subconsciouses. I wish it was the 50-cent widget, because I'd say, and one for you and you and you and you. But the truth is that we all have it. And women, God bless us, love to corner the market on subconscious, right? And intuition. We call it women's intuition. And what's true is that we all have it. Men have it. Maybe we listen to the whisper and we feel the tap a little more than men are accustomed to. But everyone, it's a free for all. And I mean that. You have it. It's tapping into it. It's amplifying it, trusting it. Try it for 7 days. Just try trusting your subconscious for 7 days and see how amplified and ramped up your life gets. It's amazing. And it is not convenient to do it. I'm telling you, the conscious mind. I have a funny little quick story.
Please. Absolutely.
So it was not funny at the time. I was in Seattle living there, and I was having my nails done, and I'm just staring in trance out the window, you know, to the parking lot. And I see a car pull up next to mine, and I see a woman, and this is just my eyes, no thought behind it. I see a woman take something kind of from her pocket, you know, ever so just gently, nothing. I don't know why I even looked over there or saw her. And I see her go like against the car like this. And then my subconscious is like, she just scratched your car. Like she literally just keyed you. That's the subconscious. And then the immediate thought, 2 seconds behind, if even, was, oh, Kimberly, don't do that. Of course she didn't. It was probably a cigarette. What are you doing? She doesn't know you. You don't know her. This couldn't be. Don't be so accusatory. Why do you feel so victimized? You know, this whole thing, you know, conscious was like, bonk, 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 talking. And all I'm just trying to do is just have my little nails done, right? And so I see, you know, and then, of course, the consciousness calmed down my subconscious of, oh, my gosh, she just keyed the car. And so, and then things like that don't happen to me. I don't know. It's just a strange thing. It's just, it had no reason to think she had keyed the car other than that's what the subconscious told me. So I get in the car, I go grocery shopping, which is just down the way. I might have even just walked to the grocery store and then walked back with the groceries. So I get home and I go to unload the groceries, and it's about 45 minutes after the event, and I see like 17, 18, 20 inches, something like that, of down to the metal cross 2 doors of the car.
Oh my goodness.
What did I say? I knew it. I knew it. And so I got in the car and I drove back up to where it was. Her car was still there. and she saw me pull in, and I'm sure I pulled in on two wheels because I was very upset. I had suffered a loss, a child loss. A little baby had passed away, and I was very upset and angry still over that. And I had not gotten to the enlightened stage of, this was a child that was not meant to be. And so I said to her, I see you, see me, see you, and I saw you do it. I don't know what language that is I was speaking, but I was so mad.
Yeah.
She was hiding behind like the trash can, when I pulled up, and I said, I see you. And I know you saw me see you do that, And so I said, we're going to the police station. We're going right now because there happens to be a police station in the same center.
Wow.
And so she said, no, we're not, So anyway, she gets in the car and she leaves. And of course I called the police and I reported her. And by the time they got to her, she was a disturbed person. And her husband had asked us not to put it through the court system because she already has some things like this in the court system, and could they just pay and, blah, blah, blah. So it all worked out. But here's the thing. The point of the story is this. You know what you know what you know. And in my sixth principle of play big, it's time to just be okay with the fact that things like that are happening, and it's okay to notice. And you do not have to PC it to death to make yourself feel better. Because the truth of the fact is that it could have all been much simpler. It could have been me saying to the nail lady, can you give me a second?
Yes.
And going out there, me then going back to get my nails done, call the police, let them handle it. No confrontation, no, charge of Joan of Arc, none of that. I could have saved us all a lot of that and the time, because the truth is that it happened. And the truth is that my soul, my subconscious, all of it got that it happened. And that's okay. Things are going to happen. I could have made it easy. I could have said, what if it's easy? I could have just sat there right on the phone. I didn't even have to get up. I could have just done that and activated then. But I chose to cover it up with conscious thought. And, I hadn't learned that yet. And the truth is you can make your life easier by just skipping all the steps and just know that what you see, what you feel, that trust it and try it for yourself. I'm not here to speak on your behalf, but try it for yourself. It's a beautiful thing when you do. It saves so many steps.
It really does. What an amazing story, and like perfect example of just being able to tune in and listen and actually act on that. That's amazing.
Right. And be okay with what you hear, because my conscious was not going to hear it. My conscious was going to run this program of don't be that way, all the stuff, the false beliefs that people tell you. And there wasn't a that way. There wasn't a that way at all. It was the truth. The truth is the truth.
The truth is the truth.
I needed to be honest was the way, that way I needed to be. I needed to be honest, even in the midst of the ugly,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. That's amazing. You're amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Likewise.
Yeah.
Back to you.
Oh my goodness.
There are some interesting, if you'd like to hear about the other principles, there's some interesting bits about that. So the first principle is accountability. We covered that. And that's really just being okay with the fact that we're not always okay in the way we've, learned things, the way that we've done things, and being ready for the change. The second is tapping into the subconscious. That's the second principle. And that's what we're doing when we agree to listen to it and agree to understand what it is. And when we agree to notice, and like you do, say thank you to it and for it. The next would be, do you move toward or away? This is an orientation thing. So oftentimes if someone's unhappy, it's because they're moving from one thing to another, like a bear. Can you see my bear in the back? If that bear was chasing, I would be looking like this, and I would be moving away from the bear. It's a stuffed animal, by the way.
Yeah, I could tell.
It's a little stuffed bear. Plush. But anyway, so I would be moving away from that, not aware of where I'm headed.
Yeah.
So when we move away and not toward things that we're after, we can end up in some places that are worse. You hear the old saying, from the fire to the frying pan, or however, maybe it's reversed. But whatever that is, it's flailing about in life. So you move to the next city, or you go to the next job, or you move to the next mate, or you do the next diet, or whatever that is, because you're so busy moving away from something that you're not orienting to. Mm-hmm. When was the last time you put maps in your phone? So when you put maps in your phone, it doesn't ask you, where are you coming from? It asks you where you want to go. It already logs your destination. That's a given. So it won't take you where you want to go unless you put something in it, right? So you can't put, when it says where to or location to, you can't say away from that.
Right.
Right.
Right. Exactly. You have to plug in where you want to go. That's just like the subconscious mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then judge thyself and thy neighbor, we covered. Play big, we covered. And, it's an easier way. Those principles don't need to be run in order, by the way. They just need to be run, because the idea that we can just end up at that place, so that destination 5 years from now, do you want to have your book? You have to have book in mind, right? You have to say, oh, okay, today with book, that means get agent, get ideas, block out the chapters, all of those beautiful things that are involved. How am I going to market it? How am I going to, who's this going to reach? Who do I want to help? All those core basic things. But your mind already knows, and those things already exist for you. It's just a matter of tapping into it and accessing that information. Kind of like this imprint that that published this book, published The Secret. And so the idea with The Secret was, and we stand on the shoulders of our forefathers in that way, because when you're summoning out and you're beaconing out what you want and you're getting the universe to hear and line up with that vibration, where's that thought coming from? Subconscious. So now in this age of accountability, we're taking in now our ownership back, and what it is and where it's coming from back. It's not out there all loosey-goosey, just whatever. We're emitting it, and we're emitting it from our hopes and dreams for ourselves, from our subconscious.
I love that. It's so beautiful. It's so true. Oh, I know you guys love this episode already, and I know you are all going to go on Amazon right now and purchase Kimberly's book. It is linked up in the show notes. It's called Subconscious Power. Use your inner mind to create the life you've always wanted. And it is just it's perfect. It's perfect.
Also, my website, KimberlyFriedmutter.com, has a lot of neat information on it. And I do post and send out a newsletter weekly. I'm under construction now on the newsletter to upgrade it to something super fabulous that's still in the works. But the newsletter, there's plenty of past newsletters that you can log on for, and you can sign up and get the new ones as soon as they're ready.
Awesome.
We're rock and rolling, because the subconscious is the new you. It's the best way to access anything you ever wanted, and also to rectify all of the things that you feel like have happened to you. There's a lot of nice, we call them hypnotic hacks in the book. There's a lot of really nice quick exercises where you can get closer to someone if you want to. You can get further from someone if you want to. If you want to stop stalking someone on the internet, you can do that easily. There's a lot of really neat things, how to rectify when someone transitions. If you haven't, already, my word for passing on or, all of that is transitioning. But if you haven't rectified, death or even with pets and animals, I've hypnotized dogs, I've hypnotized a bull, everything that has any capacity to be entranced is easily hypnotizable. So, yeah.
That is amazing.
Use it.
You also take one-on-one clients?
Oh, I do. Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, all over the world. I love that, because it's really, that's how I started. And I had I wasn't out of my office at all, just so you know, ever. And I was reached out to by HarperCollins. A woman there had reached out and asked me if I'd write the book. And so I said, absolutely, I'd be happy to write a book. Let's figure out how it can be what I do in the office, one-on-one, how we can make that so that anyone, anywhere, anytime can do it, for an evergreen kind of life. And so we figured that out. By the time the proposal was ready to be handed in, it was about a year, and the gal left HarperCollins. So the agent said, well, let's take it on the market and see what we have. And so we established this really strong footing of people wanting this information, and Simon & Schuster is who we chose to do that.
Amazing.
So Yeah. And so it meant that we were onto something, because the truth is, you don't know. When you write a book, you just don't know. And you have to, like the emergence I was talking about before, you have to trust that if it's meant to be out there, it will be. And there was a strong, strong show of yes from the universe. And so we did have the luxury of picking and choosing, and we chose. And here we are. And they've been fantastic partners. They've been so beyond on board, because they're really, really, really smart, intuitive women. And there are some men in that office as well. So I don't mean to just genderify that, but they are just beautiful humans, and they get it. And it took that to bring this baby, forward and to grow her out.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to the Badass Manifestor podcast. I love manifesting Mondays with you. And there's so much more in store right here. The best way to manifest love is to give love. If you loved what you heard today, subscribe to the Badass Manifestor podcast. Leave a review on iTunes. Let me know how much you dig the energy here. All of my social is linked up in the show notes. So screenshot this episode, tag me on Instagram, and let me be part of your real-time journey. For more info on me, feel free to go to my website, manifestwithash.com. Repeat after me. I am my own power source. I am the master of my energy, and I deserve everything that I desire. Go get 'em.